Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Rory Excalibur Show. As promised in my previous videos, I've finally gotten the visual aid working for the attention impaired, and today's gameplay is of a beta 1.8.1 Minecraft world that I started. I believe in this footage we'll be doing some cave diving, as I believe it is, oops, sorry, kicked you. As I believe it is, somewhat pertinent to today's topic. So, as you may notice, I'm not donning the beard as I did last time. I've been thinking about what I want to do as far as the direction of this channel, and previously I was thinking, oh well, I'll just make it like, you know, sort of recounting my experiences and trying to draw some conclusion from it. But more recently I've been thinking that I'll keep it more as a journal, a sort of light journal of sorts. And so with that, today's topic of discussion is self-worth. Self-worth and choosing what to do with your time. Now this is going to be a bit of an extension from last episode, because more recent developments have happened in my life that I've been feeling very conflicted on, and so what better place to share than here. So recently, it has been almost 3 weeks now since I saw the person I'm talking to, and recently I was able to get back into contact, but things have been very stagnant, very on and off, and as I described in my first episode, you know, battling problems with anxiety, it's hard to know what's me being anxious and overthinking things, and what is, you know, me having standards and placing appropriate boundaries. It's a fine line that is purely based on context and understanding, and so naturally I'm not going to lay out everything for the sake of time and your attention, but I've been recently thinking about, is this okay to do to myself? Is this okay to put myself through this turmoil for ill-gotten gains? What I mean by ill-gotten gains, I mean exerting yourself for someone who isn't willing to do that for you. And this has been a difficult thing I've been thinking about, because any person, you know, and many people have and would say to me, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, it's gonna damage your mental, and it's just, all in all, not good for you, right? And I agree. But what if it isn't as cut and dry as that, right? What if the person is, you know, showing signs of changing, or, you know, is currently going through stuff? You know, it's not all one-sided. Well, the story isn't all one-sided. And those conflicting things do add up to any decision, right? You know, the decision of, well, do I stay or should I go, right? And so that's been a difficult thing I've been dealing with recently, is, you know, choosing to continue letting myself be treated in this sort of way, being left to wither on the vine and slowly drain myself away for the sake of a chance, for the sake of possibility. I'd say that it's widely irresponsible of myself to commit myself to such a thing, but I don't know, being young is to be irresponsible, some could say. But, you know, what's the point if I'm miserable, right? What's the point in doing this if it's making me feel terrible? I wake up and I think about it. I fall asleep thinking about it. All the space in between those two events, I'm thinking about it. And sometimes I might be able to distract myself well enough to stop thinking about it for a bit. But for the most part, that's not the case. You know, for the most part, it's just constantly sitting in the back of the mind, not even at the back, at the front of the mind, thinking, what can I do? But wait. Nothing really. And it brings into question, you know, how much can you care about someone that isn't willing to currently care about you? And that's a difficult thing, because you think that, you know, eventually it'll come around. And I still think it will. But it feels like I'm, you know, just letting myself disintegrate. I feel my dignity and not necessarily my self-worth, but my own self-respect for myself, which I guess is what you could call dignity, it's the same thing. But I'm feeling that decrease. I'm feeling that drain out of me, while still trying to pursue this thing, you know. How long do you have to be left unseen or left unread before you give up? How, will I always just be relegated to being a source of comfort or a source of happiness but not a source of companionship, even though I'm very well capable of such things? And despite all that, I still choose to hang on. I've been pretty down the last half year. I haven't had really a single success in the past half year. And it's really, I would say it's the opposite of it started to get to me. It's made me numb. I've become so numb to negative stimuli that I'm just a husk. I'm just a husk of my former self. And so this situation that I've gotten myself in is just, it's almost like I don't have an opinion of it, or that I don't care about it, because at this point I'm just so numb to being just beaten down repeatedly, over and over again. Recently, I was having a late evening and I was sorting some files on my laptop, just a bit of, cleaning up, and I came across the folder that I'd exported all of my photos and videos of myself and my ex. And I started going through, you know, these photos and videos foolishly, and I just broke down into tears. But I didn't cry because I missed them. I didn't cry at all because I missed them or missed who they were. I was crying because I missed the stability. I missed having the stability that I had back then. The security and comfort that I had back then. It wasn't perfect, but it was infinitely more than what I, you know, have had in the past half year. By a long shot. And so I was just breaking down crying, viewing this past version of myself who didn't realize how well he had it. And I feel like I'm so desperately trying to find that again. Find that stability and find that security in someone. And I know what you're thinking. I know what your natural response will be. Well, you have to be, you know, comfortable and secure with yourself first before you can start seeking that out. And it frustrates me hearing this, because I am comfortable and secure, you know, being by myself. This is an example of that. You know, I'm filling in my time and healing making these videos, you know. Even though, you know, all you can see is me and my computer, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes to get this sort of stuff working, you know, like getting this footage, fixing the computer, making sure the cameras are working, exporting the tape footage from the camera, you know, there's a whole process, uploading it, everything, right? And that's just part of, you know, part of it, you know. I have my other hobbies and everything as well. I can keep myself entertained. And I'm always happy with myself. I've always been happy with who I am. Not necessarily always who I was, but in the present I'm always happy with who I am. Not, you know, not blissfully ignorantly, you know, I am aware enough of any shortcomings I do have. But the point I'm making is that I am secure within myself. And it's like I have enough love for myself that I have a lot of love to give. They say that, you know, it is a very good Chris McCandless quote. If any of you have read or watched Into the Wilds, which is, you know, happiness is only real when shared. And that's true to an extent, of course. You can be very well happy by yourself. But to be happy within companionship is fulfilling in a different way. You know, I equate this to transport. Let's just say you can get to work every day, right? Let's just say you catch the bus to work every day. Or you know, to university or wherever. For me, I catch the bus into university. It's an hour and a half trip in, hour and a half trip out. Now the bus is all fine and all, you know, it gets you where you need to go, but it's, even though it's, you know, public transport, it's relatively solitary, bit of a bumpy ride, you know, it's always stopping and starting, and it has its own novelty, but it's alright. Let's just say instead you wanted to drive to work, you wanted to drive to work or drive to uni. That's a more, you know, entertaining experience. You're still getting to the same place, but, you know, you can whack on your own tunes in the stereo, you know, you can have someone with you, you can, you know, blah 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 blah, it's your car, right? And those are both different experiences to the same means to an end, but they both fulfill different areas. And for me, I'm looking to fulfill this whole, right? I'm looking to fulfill that whole of companionship in my life. And with the current situation I'm in, it's like it feels like I'm grasping at straws, and almost like watching it from the outside. You know, not that I'm even inside to begin with, but anyway. And so it's been somewhat difficult in its own unique way, this situation I'm in, where I'm so desperately wanting to be upfront with this person, just be like, what is going on? You know, can you just talk to me like I'm anybody else, you know? Because this person, it's not like they don't care about me. They've been stalking me on social media. You know, they unfollowed me and then continued to keep stalking my account, you know, my stories and everything, until I finally made my account private, and that's when they finally reached out. And so it's like there is some care there, or at the very least a fear of losing me, which is, you know, care in its own, you know, fucked up way. But there's something evident there, right? And so clearly it's like all I just want is just the respect. Just the respect and due diligence to respond to me, you know? It's like I feel like I am trapped within time, because all I can do is wait. All I can do is wait patiently. And I have to hold my trigger finger back from double texting or placing any, you know, applied pressure or whatever. And it's suffocating, you know. It's in its own way, it's suffocating. And some, you know, and a lot of people say, well, you can during this time you can let go. You know, you can start letting go, or you can start focusing on yourself, blah 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 blah. But it's just frustrating. It's frustrating because how can you switch up on someone so quickly, or how can, you know, and that goes for other sides, like how am I to be expected to just switch off my brain and be like, okay, I'm letting go? Or how is it that this person has switched up on me in such a way? There's a fine line between being anxious and craving security and understanding, and just being anybody else that wants to know what the hell is going on. I can't read minds despite my appearance, you know, but God, I just want to be let in. Let me in to your mind, and let me figure out, you know, what's going on. You don't have to say anything, just let me figure it out. All I want is just that bare level of communication. And it feels like I'm pulling teeth to get it. And so with all that said, you'd think that the fair thing to say would be like, well, this is clearly unhealthy, you should distance yourself. But I just can't do it, because I need one door to be closed before I can open another. I don't want to have to keep thinking about this. The only thing that helped me get over my ex was being able to fully, nail down that coffin and have it be securely finished. And at the moment, I'm just withering on the vine without, resolution. Which is part of the reason why I wanted this gameplay on. There's something about going through the old caves in Minecraft that's very disorientating. They all turn and twist and loop around in all different ways. I'm pretty sure in somewhere along the footage I get lost. But that's what it feels like right now. It feels like I'm navigating this cave without any clear way out, you know. And there's lots of ways to get out of caves in Minecraft. You know, you can do the nerd pole method and just dig straight up. You can staircase it up maybe if you're mining, or you can, you know, be really due diligent and find your way through. But no matter what you do, it all ends at the same point. You get out of the cave one way or another. And so that's maybe come to this conclusion right now of why bother, you know, why bother with this? And it's a messed up thing, but I think at this point I'm just in it for the love of the game. Who cares anymore, right? Let's just see it out, see how it goes. And so that's where I'm at. My patience is dwindling, and my care and affection is too, which is painful, because I don't want to lose affection for this person that I once did because of reasons that can be fixed so easily through communication. But alas, here we are. So that's all I have to say for today. Apologise for ending on a relatively sour note, but with all due respect, my life has been pretty sour for a long time. Hopefully in the next episode I can provide some better news and recount better things on my mind. But as it says in the channel description, the reason why I've had this channel is because I can't afford a therapist. The closest I can do is unpack in front of myself and figure it out, which is what I have done my whole life. So I doubt anybody's gone this far in the video, but thank you for listening to my ramblings. We'll continue this gameplay in the next episode, don't you worry. And I'll see you next time. Onwards and upwards.